Greetings, friend. I'm going to share with you a secret strategy that'll help you solve over 20 Sudoku cells, including one of these colored cells. Click below if you want to give this puzzle a go. And with that, it's solving time. Look in block 4. Where can a 1 go? Well, you have this 1 in column 1, this 1 in column 3, so a 1 has to go in this spot. And now with the way this 1 cuts across and this one comes down column 8, we only have 2 places for a 1. So what I just did is called Snyder notation. Anytime in a 3x3 block, you have 2 possibilities per candidate. You mark it, and in case you solve one of those cells, we can solve the other one right away. And if you're new to the channel, welcome to Smart Hobbies. Please consider subscribing and liking this video if you do find some value in this content. Okay, let's look at the 2s. You got a 2 here in row 3, a 2 in row 2, and this 2 means there's only one place for a 2 in block 2. And now with these 2s and this 2, well, 2 places for a 2, so we'll mark that in block 5. All these Snyder marks help us gather information. And then with these 2s, we have 2 possibilities for 2 in block 7. Now let's look at the 3s. I got a 3 cutting across row 4, so there's only 2 possibilities for the 3 in block 4. And then in block 6, if you cut across this 3, you have this 3. You'll notice that the 3s end up in the same spots as the 1s. And this is interesting. I do want to point this out. Whenever you have Snyder marks overlap each other in the same block, like this one, then this is called a hidden pair. And what it means is the 1 and 3 are both limited to the same 2 cells. And since that's the only place they can be, you have to put just a 1 or a 3 in those 2 orange cells. So we can eliminate every other candidate from those cells. You'll find neat tricks like this in my members only reward puzzle packs. And for a limited time, I'm offering all my previous monthly packs for free. You just gotta click on the link in the pinned comment below to join the Smarty Party. Let's remove that 1 and the 3 color there. And now what else can we do with the 3s? Well, with this 3 and this 3 cutting across, we have 2 possibilities for 3 in block 8. And since they're in the same column, they're not only Snyder marks, but they're called a pointing pair, because a 3 has to be somewhere in block 8 here in limited to column 6. So a 3 can't be here anymore, and a 3 can't be there because of this 3 cutting across. We can mark 2 spots for 3 in block 2 now. And then let's look at the 4s. You have 1, 2, 3, 4s all looking into block 5. Whenever you have that situation, you know there's only one possibility left. We can solve that for a 4. And then with this 4 cutting across row 1, this 4 coming up, we have 2 possibilities for 4 here. And this is another pointing pair. So the pointing pair is going to come down, and this 4 is also going to come down. So we have 2 possibilities for 4 in block 9. And then with this 4 cutting across row 8, this 4 coming down column 3, what you might notice is we have another situation with overlapping Snyder marks. And so this has to be another hidden pair, 2, 4. I removed the Snyder marks to make it a little less cluttered and easier for me to see. But now, all that we have left in block 7 is a 5 and a 7. Well, I see a 7 right here, so that means this has to be the 5, and that has to be your 7. Now this hidden pair actually acts as a pointing pair as well. So the 4 can't be here, and you got this 4, so the 4s are limited to these 2 spots in block 1. What about the 5? You have this 5 coming up, column 3. We know we can solve for 5 in block 3 now. And with these 2 5s and these 2 5s, we can solve for 5 right here in block 9, which displaces that Snyder 4. So whenever you displace a Snyder mark, you can solve the other cell right away. And now, with this 4, we can disambiguate the 2, 4 over here in block 7. And we're not done with the 5s. You have this 5 cutting up column 4, this 5 cutting across. It makes a pointing pair of 5s in row 2. And so with this 5 and this pointing pair of 5s, and the 5 already in column 2, there's only 2 possibilities for 5 in block 1. After that, let's look at the 6s. What we have right here is a naked triple, because you have a 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, 8 in the column already. There's only 3 possibilities left, so it limits ourselves to a 4, 6, and 9. Well, I have a 4 and a 9 right there, So that's got to be a 6, which allows us to solve this now for a 4 and a 9. And so now we can look over here and go, okay, this 6 coming down, column 8, means there's only 2 possibilities for 6 in block 6. And since they're in the same row, they're a pointing pair. So now a 6 can't be anywhere else along the row. And you have this 6 already in column 1, so that means this has to be a 6, displacing that Snyder 3. And now we can finish solving. We only need a 5 and a 9. I got a 9 right here. That's a 9, and that's going to be your 5. And can we go even further? Yep, because we can displace the Snyder mark, solve this cell for a 5, solve this cell for a 7, because I don't see a 7 in column 1. And then I have 2 possibilities right here. We're looking for a 3 and an 8. Well, I already have this 3. That's a 3, and that is an 8, which is going to allow us to remove this Snyder mark and solve this cell now for a 3. Okay, you'll see across row 1, we only have a 7 or an 8. And we need to fill out some of these cells to set up our advanced strategies. I haven't forgotten about the red and the green. We're about to solve one of these cells. Another thing we want to do to set this up is look for where 2's can be in block 9. Okay, we got this 2 right here, and we have these 2's. So the only place left for 2 in block 9 is right there. And now with this 2 and these 2's, we have 2 possibilities for a 2 here in block 8. This is going to set up our nice naked triple here, okay? What you might notice is if you look up here in block 3, we have 3 cells remaining, 4, 7, and an 8. They're all in a line, so this is a naked triple. With this 8, that means this has to be a 4, 7. And with the 7 right here, this has to be a 4 and an 8. And it's also a pointing triple. So 4, 7, 8 cannot be anywhere else along column 9 because they're limited to one of these 3 cells. And that's going to help us solve this green cell right here. Because if you look across row 4, you'll see you have a 1, 3, 4, 5, and a 9. We need a 2, 6, 7, 8. Well, we have a 7 and 8 as part of this naked triple, and we just solved this 2 right there. This can only be one possibility. This has to be a 6. And we can remove that Snyder 6. I love this setup here. And I asked Yoshi who helps him with this testing, and he says that most of the times he does the testing himself, but more than once he's had Pietato, another of my Friday featured setters, help him with the testing. Sometimes he puts things out on the Cracking the Cryptic puzzle testing channel. If it's really good, then he might also release it in the archive for people like me to solve or Logic Masters India. Thank you, Yoshi, for being my Friday featured setter. Okay, after solving this 6, now with these 2 6's and these 2 6's, we can solve for a 6 in block 9. And then we can make some Snyder marks because we have 2 possibilities for 6 here in block 5. Okay, since we solved this 3 here, now we can disambiguate the 1 and the 3 here in block 6. And then we can go down here in column 9. 4, 7, 8 have to be here. We have a 2, 3, 5, 6. We're just missing a 1 and a 9. Well, I see a 1 here, so that's going to be your 1, and that's going to be your 9. And now we're looking for a 3, 7, 8 in here. Well, I see a 3 and a 7. This has to be your 8. I see a 3 right there, so this is your 3, and that's your 7. This 3 is going to displace that Snyder 3. You can solve this for a 3. You'll notice now we only need a 7 to finish row 7, and we only need an 8 to finish row 8. And then we have a 1, 9 here in row 9. We can't solve that yet. We're going to work our way to this red cell now. The way we can do that is let's look across row 4. We're missing a 2, 7, and an 8. Okay, well, you'll notice that we only have one possibility left here. So this has to be your 7, and since we have the 8 right there, this has got to be your 8, and that's going to be your 2. And since we displaced a Snyder 2, we can solve this cell for a 2 now. Only thing left in block 6 is a 9. And we want to clean up a couple more digits. So I'm curious, if you got to this point, what strategy did you use next? let me know in the comments, because this is a little tricky, but I did find something that's going to be quite helpful. You notice you have a 1, 9 right here. Let's look at this cell. What could be in this cell? It could be a 1, but it can't be a 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or an 8. This can also only be a 1 or a 9. So what we have is a 1, 9 naked pair in column 6. And so we can eliminate all the other candidates, 1 and 9, in column 6. And what that leaves us with is now a 5, a 6, and a 7. Well, I have a 7 and a 5 right there. So this now has to be your 6. And now with this 6 and this 6, the only place for a 6 in block 2 is up there. That was a nice naked pair combo. You want to check out more of those? I've made a tutorial all about it. Let's remove this colors, and now we're ready to set up the covert, or some might even say forbidden, strategy here. Okay, we're going to figure out what's in this cell. All right, what we know is it can be a 1, 8, or a 9. Let's finish the rest of these cells. We're going to fill out all of these cells here. So what you're looking for here is a 5 and a 7 to finish column 6. Right here, looks like we need 4, 5, 7, 9. Well, I got the 4 and a 7, so this is going to be an 8. I'm sorry. That's going to be a 5 and a 9 right there. All right. We got a 1, 5, 7 cutting across row 5. So this is going to be a 1, 7. And this is going to be a 1, 5. And then we have an 8, 9 to finish row 6. Let's remove the green mark because we don't need that anymore. And I'm going to remove the Snyder marks because we don't really need those either. Look at the red cell. You notice anything different about the red cell compared to all the other ones we filled out? You'll notice every other cell is a BVC. It's a bi-value cell. It only has 2 possibilities. This cell, though, has a 1, 8, or 9. It's got 3 possibilities. There's 1 extra. And so there is an assumption that these puzzles are unique. And indeed, this puzzle has a unique solution. And so what you want to avoid is something like solving this cell for a 7, and then solving this for an 8, and working all your way down and solving the rest of these cells with a 7. And then if you came back and you started with an 8 and you're able to just fill all these cells out again with the opposite digits, well, then that puzzle would have 2 solutions. And since we know this puzzle has 1 unique solution, that can't happen. And so what we know is there's got to be a cell that kind of breaks that monotony and doesn't allow 2 solutions for all these cells that we have yet to solve. And that cell is this one, the one that has 3 possibilities. The very easy way to do this is to look and see what candidate appears 3 times in the row, column, and block. You'll notice 3 times here, 3 times here, and 3 times here. You have a 9, okay? And why some people feel this is forbidden or covert, they may not understand this or look for this to look for another advanced strategy, but it's a little forgiven because people don't like to use uniqueness. They feel like it's a little bit outside the rules. However, you can always solve these using other more traditional strategies, but this one is going to create the quickest solve. We have 17 cells left to solve, and we're going to solve all of them right now. So you pick that candidate, this 9, that appears 3 times. That's the solution to the cell. This has to be a 9. That will break up all the monotony. And once you do that, you're going to see how this puzzle unravels. Now, this is a 1. That's a 5. That's a 7. That's an 8. That's a 7. That's a 4. That's an 8. This is your 4. And this is your 9. Okay, with this 7. That's a 5. That's a 1. That's a 7. This has to be the 8. That has to be the 9. This is a 1, and our last digit is a 9. I share another covert strategy with you in this next video. Check it out. Thank you so much for watching.